Hello, Angie Gerber here, and welcome to my podcast, Awareness. Once you know, you can't unknow. A place you can come to start thinking and shifting your thoughts to finally create the results you truly, truly desire. It'll shift your mindset and give you strategies to get out there and get it done. Let's get started. So what would you tell your 18 self you? If you could go back and give yourself any advice at all, I'm 47. So what would I go back and tell my 18-year-old self? It's a question you've probably heard before. And my question to you is, have you actually done that? Sat in the moment and really thought about what advice would you give yourself, your 18 self you? Or maybe you're 22. So what would you give your 10-year-old self you or your 14-year-old self you, or go back to a very pivotal moment in your life where you had choices to make. You had things happening. You had decisions. You had a fork in the road. What would you say? It's an interesting concept. And I was sitting with that and it struck me. So I'm like, well, that's what I'm going to talk about this week. And what mine would be, and what I've wanted to pass along to my kids. And I've said, and it's interesting because my husband and I even disagree a little bit on some of this point. But what I would have loved to have heard when I was just graduating high school and getting ready to figure out what I wanted to do, I ended up going to college because that's what you're supposed to do. And that's what I was told to do. And that's what successful people do. Well, fast forward many years, I know a lot of people that are very successful that have no formal education. So that's becoming more of a myth in my eyes. And even with my degree and my college education, I still didn't have direction or know where I was going or what I was doing. And I actually got a customer service job that I probably did get over other candidates because back then it looked good if you had a degree. But it wasn't any skill I learned in college or any skill that was learned. It was really a heart service role. You're a service role, servant almost, heart-based when you're working customer service and doing it for the right reasons at the right level. So what I would go back and tell my 18-year-old self would be, figure out, even if it's for now, figure out what you love to do. Like if you could wake up every day and you got to do it. You didn't have to do it. You've got to do it. What would that be? And figure out a way to make money doing it. It's really so simple, and yet it's so overcomplicated. I mean, even if you have to do a side hustle or do something in the meantime to, have a roof over your head and be able to feed yourself and whatnot. Absolutely. You want to have your basics covered. But think about it. If you could wake up tomorrow and do whatever it is you wanted to do, what would it be? And scale it. Figure out if it's scalable and figure out a way to make money doing it. It's about living in our passion and living our dreams. And at that time when I was 18, I wouldn't have even known that because you see so many people go out looking for their purpose, and I got to find my purpose, or I think my purpose is this, or this month my purpose is that. Your purpose finds you. So what you want to do is you want to be fluid in the moment and be ready to learn, unlearn, and relearn skills, friendships, relationships, where you're going next, different jobs, different careers. Just be willing to learn. And if you do happen to know at 18, if your passion has already found you and your purpose, and you know what it is, then definitely I would start right there and figure out a way to make money doing it. I mean, even in having kids of my own and three different personalities, three different directions, three different intellects, three different spirits, three different, just everything about them. So much of it's different. And I can see, I can definitely see what they don't like, and I can see what they do like. So I feel as a parent, I'm almost responsible to take what I see in them that they can't see yet in themselves and really shift them towards that, or give them opportunities, or maybe a nudge or a push towards what they might be, or what might intrigue them even just a little bit more. And I'm not talking force. I'm not talking kicking and screaming like, you're going to play soccer. I know one of my good friends growing up, her parents made her do these sports and dance and soccer, and she just hated it. I think she kind of liked it, but she put the front up like she hated it. And she would go, but did she really enjoy it? Was she really good at it? Was she ever going to be, getting a scholarship or an Olympic athlete? No. It was just, I think, to keep her busy, and that's okay. We do what we think is best for our kids at that time. What I'm talking about is seeing in someone else, whether it's a spouse, a partner, a kid, someone you work with, someone you know from the community. It's more than likely you see something in them that they can't yet see in themselves, and leaning into that and feeding that and bringing out the beauty in them that they don't see, and bringing out, this thing that is just right there at the surface, waiting to come out. I know when I took my first quantum leap, hit my first tear barrier and busted through, it was because one of the owners of the real estate team I joined, he's no longer with us now, but he said to me, and we had such an interesting bond. I had never experienced it before, and I haven't since, but he said it in such a way where he's just like, I see it. I see what you don't see. And I want you to trust me. And I want you to know that, if you do this, you're going to be amazing. I can see it. And I didn't think he was giving me a line. I really believed he felt that. And throughout our short time together, a couple of years, he proved it, and he showed it, and he showed up for me, and he gave me opportunities, and he was one of my biggest cheerleaders. And it was really cool. I had one other mentor who I've mentioned in past podcasts. She did the same thing at a different level at a different time in my life, in my early 20s. This was when I was mid 30s, almost 40. So throughout your life, you may have people like I've had that drop little truth bombs or drop little hints and want you to be the best version of yourself. And that version is someone that you more than likely you can't see right now. It's an interesting concept and something I wanted to talk about today. And I've been listening to Alex Hormozi, if you've heard of him. I just found him on YouTube. And so I've been watching a lot of what he's doing and how he went from broke to successful, to losing it all, to successful, to $1,000, to pivoting, and now, on his way to $1 billion. I mean, well over, I don't even know. I'm going to say 82 million, I think the last I heard. So it's one of those whole things that if any one person can do what you intend to do, you can do it. And it really doesn't take a lot, if you think about it, to separate the 1% that are doing really, really, elite high level results and showing up from there. It's almost like what I keep hearing over and over and over again is consistency. People do stuff for 90 days. They don't see results. They stop. They pivot. They start something else. It's really about, what did he say? I just took some notes. He said, yeah, it's about finding who you can provide the most value to and consistency, doing the same thing for a very long period of time. And, think about yourself and your journey. We have, especially now, our attention spans are so short. We look at social media, we look at what we perceive to be someone's life, and it's just the top, skimming off the top best parts of it. Even people that are multimillionaires on their way to be billionaires, it's like, oh, can you shortcut that for me? Or how did you get there? How can I do that? And the truth is, if you don't put your time in, it's not going to matter. You're not going to get it, and nor should you, because it's earned, and you really want to go after it. And it's really part of the laws of the universe. You'll be rewarded, and you have to show up, and you have to trust in the universe, trust in yourself, and do the work. And, with that said, another thing I was watching this weekend from him is he talked about having a conversation with himself, and he was being interviewed on a podcast, and he started laughing at himself. He's like, I don't know. He's like, it's just something I did, and I block up on my calendar every Monday morning, like an hour, and I talk to the 85-year-old me, and I ask questions of me, and I ask, for advice. And he says I have a back and forth conversation, and you can actually see it. I write, and then he writes, and then I write, and he writes. And he goes, and it might sound maddening, and yet it works, because no therapist, no life coach, no one person in this world is going to have as much contextual understanding of me, where I've been, what I'm thinking, and what are next steps than myself. So I embrace this, and I thought it was interesting, and I've heard of it before, and I've actually done an exercise at a real estate training a while back where I did this, and I walked up through a path, and I walked up to this person, and it was a guided exercise, almost a meditation. And then I was standing in front of me, 40 years from now. And I had a conversation. I was bawling, and I was, it was so cool. And I hadn't done it since, and I hadn't thought about it. But with Alex Hormozi talking about it on YouTube, I saw it on a podcast. He was being interviewed. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that. And so this morning I got up, and actually everyone's gone. So I had the house to myself. So a quiet morning. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. we're going to take 30, 40 years from now, and I'm going to have a conversation. And I just let the space be open. I put some music on in the background, and it was interesting. It was an interesting exercise, and I'll share to you what I wrote, because I had no idea what was going to come, where this was going to go. But it ended up being a very transformational exercise. I'll just read the first part, because the second part, it's deep. It was painful. There were a lot of tears, and it was releasing. But how I got there was I started with, side note, I'm not trying. There is no try. I am intending to repurpose, rescale, not even redo, but take that next jump. And in taking that next jump, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of, pivoting. I'm in a real, in the beginning, it's hard when you want to go and do something that's of any significance, any value. And then it gets messy. And then it's beautiful. And I'm kind of in the hard and messy part, right around there. Definitely a lot of mess. I'm in a lot deeper and a lot of stuff that I don't understand. I don't have full control, which I know for a lot of entrepreneurs is really hard. And I am, just feeling it. I'm feeling this pain of growth, of creation, of all of it. And so that's where I was this morning when I woke up. And I asked the version of me from about, we'll say 40 years from now, 30 years from now. I wrote, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? And the answer I got was, first, look at your energy. Look at the words you're using and feeling. Missing, wrong. She said, I think that's a place to start. Look at the energy you're in. Switch the words to, I wonder. I'm going to find a way. What can I do just for today? Come from your goal, not to your goal. It's everything you coach to others, just do it yourself. I said, okay. And I said, are you proud of me? And she said, oh, sweetie, I'm so proud and grateful for you. Your soul and all you're doing. Just keep going. Hit the walls and go through them. We wouldn't be here and have the life we have had you not taken chances, felt the uncomfortableness and fear, and did it anyway. You have helped so many people, more than you will ever know. And I said, why does it have to be so hard? And my 70, 80-year-old self said, because it's only worth it if it's earned. It has to be earned. And I asked, what do I need to do today to succeed? And she said, show up and give. Give with your whole heart. Share from your spirit and give without borders. Someone needs to hear it and feel it. People want real. People need real. Break the chains of your past. And my response was, okay, I trust you. Just breathe and believe. Here it goes. And then I just started writing. Yeah, it was quite a morning. I'll say that for sure. And I got stuff out and I wrote stuff that I hadn't thought about in years. And that has almost been a chain for me to my past. And the more I've leaned into it recently, and how I even talk about we're our only problem and our only solution, it's almost like I don't want to succeed at the level I intend to succeed at, because what will they think? Or what will that person say? Or what if they bring up that thing I did? Or, and it's like I'm all of a sudden like chained to my past. And I'm letting it control. I don't know if anyone can, relate to that, but I'm just talking about what came through because I truly believe someone needs to hear it. And then I, again, have been listening to a lot of content. So after I went through this whole exercise, I dumped a lot out on paper, and it was emotional and it felt good, and stuff came out that I didn't even realize I was holding on to or that was inside of me, kind of chained up. I released it and understood where some of the guilt, shame, pain was coming from. But one of the things that I wrote is, I wrote, there was so much to sift through, to pull apart, dig even deeper, hurt more, and slowly put back together. There's so much that has taken decades to make myself whole again. I wrote, I'm no longer a victim. I'm no longer in pain. I am finally free. You see, I was born in my Creator's perfection. My spiritual DNA is perfection. My purpose has found me, and I get to live it out the rest of my days if I choose to break the chains, and I do. So that was just part of it. And then I went on to listen to some more amazing content on YouTube. And, one of the things that came across was, focusing on your future and focusing on today, because today is the only thing you can control or change or make decisions about. I know Layla Hermosi was talking about, how she said she broke up with someone and moved across the country and was seeing a therapist, and, and she went to the therapist and she's like, I just can't get over him. I'm just still so sad and it's so hard. And, the therapist is like, how long have you been feeling that way? She's like, well, about 2 months. And therapist asked, well, how long were you guys together? And she goes, well, about 14 months. And, it's just, they say it's going to take about half the amount of time you're with someone to get over them. And I'm just this 2 months in, and it's hard. And I just, and the therapist, she was the only therapist I ever liked. She said, well, that's bullshit. It doesn't have to be that way. You're choosing to have it that way. You could choose right now to let go of it, to let go of him. You don't have to take 7 months to get over him. You can pick the parts you want to keep and move forward with and leave the rest behind. And maybe that's nothing. And maybe that's some fun memories. Or you can sit and spin. And you can spin in it and spin in it and spin in it. And what will it do? It will do nothing for you. It will do nothing to move you forward. It will do nothing to get you from where you are to where you want to be. We just spin in it. We spin, and we are spinning in our past, and we're letting our past hold us back or hold us down. And it was so interesting and so relevant. And also, as I was doing that writing exercise, the song from Pink came on, and I'd never heard it before. It's her song, All I Know So Far. And I would definitely look it up and listen to it. It was, again, divine intervention and timing, because the song came on and the lyrics and what I was writing and everything. It was just like, whew, okay, I hear ya. I got it. And one of the lyrics she says is, let the walls crack. It lets the light in. And that's so true. We often build up these walls, or we're being protective, or, one of the things I also wrote is, I've loved so hard and been hurt so much repeatedly, or something like that. I'd have to go back and look at it, and think about, have you ever been hurt or betrayed? Or someone's lost your trust, or you've given everything only to be stomped on, or what it feels like stomped on. And you hold on to that. Or do you ask yourself, why did that happen for me, not to me? Again, it's instead of taking a victim role or woe is me or poor me or sitting and spinning in the crap of it, you choose to take a different perspective. I know another thing that she had said in the podcast she was being interviewed before is she said, she was arrested 6 different times. She was hanging with the wrong group of people. She's like, it wasn't weird. I didn't take even the first 3 or 4 times I got arrested seriously. It sounded like it was for, drinking, underage drinking, all that type of stuff. But on one time, she just woke up the next day and her father said something to her that really moved her. And she's like, from this moment on, I'm just going to focus on my future. She goes, she changed her behavior. In one day, she woke up like that, just decided, I'm done. And I remember I did that one time with one long time ago, one boyfriend I had, and it was just over and over and over again. And it should have been done a lot sooner than it was. But inherently, he figured it would just be the normal cycle. And I didn't take him back. And all of a sudden, it was just like, whoa, that's not how this script works. That's not what we do. And I remember this is when we had pagers. Cell phones didn't exist. It's how long ago this was. And he paged me all summer long. It was like a couple months. And I wouldn't. I'm like, no, I told you one more thing and I was done. And I actually held to my standard that I had set, which I hadn't done before. And it just reminds me, it's just, you can wake up and one day you can just decide to be done and move on, or to let something go, or to make a different choice. It's just, like I said, I wrote, just breathe and believe. And think about, what do you need to do today to move forward? Maybe you need to let go of a past hurt, or maybe you need to forgive yourself for something that you've done. Because as I wrote this morning, what did I say? I said, why do I care? What does it matter? Who cares about me and my story? I care. The best version of me cares. I am so much more than just my past, than my story. It's a piece of my puzzle, not the whole picture. A piece that had to happen to get me to where I am today. Every piece is a part of the whole picture that had to happen in order to see and live the beauty today. I wrote that this morning. Out of where? I don't know. It just came. But I encourage you to look at those pieces as gifts and part of the beautiful picture of today, of where you are. Me sitting in this chair, having a podcast, having a YouTube channel, having a goal to help millions of people get this information that changed my life, because I'm a product of the product. I know it works, and it's just a perception, a perspective shift that I never knew about, I never understood. And once I was introduced to it, everything changed. Because what Bob talked about a lot, and still does if you watch his YouTube, is ignorance. And I grew up, that was a really dirty word, ignorance. That's my perception at the time. So I didn't really understand the word until Bob explained it. And it's just lack of knowledge, And it's just so interesting that, you can just have such a lack of knowledge and not know what you don't know. And it's in listening to one thing, opening your heart, or opening your mind or just giving someone the opportunity to see what you don't see in yourself and listening to them and not shushing them off or yeah, whatever, but sitting in the uncomfortableness of it, because it is uncomfortable when someone sees greatness in you, but you are so far from seeing it in yourself. I've been through it a couple times in my past. But embrace the gift. Embrace it. Lean into it. And have a conversation. Have two. Have one with your younger self. And really, what would you say to your younger self? And if you have no idea, sit down and figure it out. It's a really good exercise. And then I encourage you, first time ever, besides that one exercise I did at that training, have a conversation with your older self. 10, 20 years from now, 5 years from now, have a conversation and see what she says back to you or he says back to you. It's pretty cool because, as you know, we all have the answers inside of us. We just have to ask the right questions. And most of the time we're looking at everyone around us. Tell me, who do I ask this question to that will give me the answer? It very well, more than likely, you already know the answer. You just haven't asked yourself. So, till next time, make it a good one and truly, truly go after it because you're worth it. Thanks for spending some time with me today. And if you like what you heard, feel free to share, like, subscribe, follow, do whatever it is you do. I'd love to get this out to as many people as possible because it truly all does start with awareness. Once you know, you cannot unknow, and it changes everything. And of course, if I can help in any way, I'm here and happy to do so. Until next time, make it a good one.